an episode every week, and it's just flown by. This is 36, and like 52 weeks in the year. That means like 20 weeks when I haven't done something. Well, I've done a bunch of like solo episodes, and to get other clinician founders' times to match up has been super exciting. Um, just checking that we are live on other platforms. So if people have already joined us, hello, thank you for joining. Um, Tell us where you're joining us from, what sort of a clinician you are, and if you've got any questions for KP about running a tutoring business, the AMC exams, about IMGs in Australia, shoot them in the comments below, and we can kind of take that from there. So I can see we are live on LinkedIn. Just do a quick hello, and we can move into our introduction. If there's going to be some feedback on the way, just put in the comments. I think it's my microphone, and every time I hit the mute button, it does help. So yeah, let me know. Well, welcome to the final episode of season 2, episode 36 of the Clinician Founder podcast, where we explore the stories of clinicians who've gone from idea to impact. We dig into how they made their idea stick and what it really means to be a clinician founder. I'm your host, Dr. Shubhendra Kulshresh, an executive coach, emergency physician, and the founder of the Clinician Founder Actionship, where I help clinicians become the person whose ideas get noticed, backed, and actually implemented, so they can start replacing at least one clinical day's income with the work they've built themselves. Before we dive in, I want to take a moment to say a massive thank you. This podcast has grown into something truly special, clinicians building, experimenting, innovating, and sharing journeys that most people have never heard about. But I'll be honest, the show still doesn't get the visibility it deserves. It would make a huge difference if you could share it with just one person or just one WhatsApp group. That one share will go a really long way, and I appreciate it. I'm closing the season for the holidays, but I've already started creating the list for season 3 starting early 2026. So if you've got any guest recommendations or know a company or sponsor who should be aligned with this mission, send me a DM or email me at shub@coachwithshub.com. So, today's episode, we've got the incredible Dr. KP Balan, clinician, educator, AMC expert, and a brilliant example of what happens when a clinician builds a business around their. We're going to explore how she built the AMC tutoring brand, pathways into Australia, and what clinicians can learn from from turning their niche expertise into a thriving, scalable business. Right, let's dive into it. Thanks so much for joining me today, KP. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. And thank you so much for having me on board. And this is an absolutely wonderful platform to have. I've seen a couple of your episodes, and I absolutely blown away by all the things that other clinicians do out there that you would never come across in past life unless you've actually, met them. And I think it's a fabulous idea. I don't know how you do it with, working, training, plus, the podcast. Because man, when I try creating a video for these reels, it takes a lot of effort. And I was like, wow, kudos. Like, it's
Uh,
amazing what you do. It's really good.
uh,
Thank you for,
Thanks so
thank you for,
much. Thank you,
and
KP.
thank
It's an honest pleasure to have you here. I mean, we've known each other for a long time, and to be having this conversation is very, very exciting. And I'm really keen to dive into all of the bits that we can get into. Before we do that, though, for the ones that may not have met you or heard about you, could you just tell us a little bit about who is KP Balan?
So my name is KP Balan, mainly because my name is very, very long. And I am the founder of KP Balan PTY Ltd. I'm also an emergency medicine registrar here in Australia, and I'm in my training. I did the AMC exams, and then I realized there's a huge deficit for guidance to sit the AMC exams and pass the exams, and also kind of channel through all the pathways in Australia to land a job. So I established KP Balan PTY Ltd, and it's an establishment where we help you with MCQs, the clinical exam, and we help you with your career guidance and help you navigate through the whirlpool of opportunities that are out there. I'm also the international medical graduate representative for the Australian Medical Association, and I'm also currently in the process of I'm actually the federal representative for WA State for the International Medical Graduates, and in the process of establishing a committee so we can advocate for the international medical doctors here in Australia, in WA State.
Wow, so much going on. Um, takes a, I mean, we hopped on this call and I think we haven't spoken in ages, but we connected all the way back in Manipal, and I've had a couple of other guests from Manipal on this podcast as well. Um, I'm curious, from the point where you left Manipal, getting all the way to Australia, then starting becoming a founder, that entire journey, what's kind of been like your favorite moment, like a peak moment when you felt like, ah, yes, this is exactly what I was doing all of this for?
I would say that was when I first landed my first job. That I would truly say that would be the highlight because you hear stories about the journey in Australia, you landing the job, and also then translating. When you're an intern, you're baby to a certain extent. You have so many
Mm.
supervisors. Every step you take, you can ask a question, put your hand up, but landing the job here right after internship, I was on my own. I was an actual doctor where I've passed a couple of exams and I am not just faking it anymore.
Wow.
And everything I read mattered. And also my first shift ever in Australia was a night shift with nurses and the only doctor in the cardiology unit. And so everyone looked at who's the doctor in the building. We're like, I'm just gonna hide under this table and hope you don't find me out. So it was a proud moment for me to have that journey. And when I came to Australia, not a lot of international medical graduates came to Australia.
Mm.
I think in our whole university, which I think most of them went to US and UK. I think we had two candidates that's ever left to Australia from Manipal University.
Wow.
Um, and no one really knew the pathway. No one really,
Mm.
it was all in a hush hush. So to actually make it through this path that not a lot of doctors take, and then to actually make it to the first job was a huge moment for me.
Wow. Yeah. I can imagine. I mean, I came to the UK following literally the people who had come before me, and whatever they kind of did, I just emulated and copied and got there. And after having gotten here, I did kind of look at the AMC and getting to Australia because loads of people from here were going to Australia. And it just seems like a good life. I mean, even just yesterday, I was speaking to another doctor in Australia, and it really does seem like the dream that everyone sells it to be. Could you just walk us through, like, how long have you been in Australia now, by the way? Like 7 years,
Uh,
8?
Probably, yeah, 7, 8 years now.
Yeah.
Close to
How,
going to nine soon, yeah.
okay, cool. So what's happened in those 7, 8 years? And did this idea for running your own business always kind of hover around in the background, or was it something that was inevitable?
I would say this was something that was inevitable. I honestly didn't ever think I was a person. I'm a person that likes to join groups and lead things, as you know, in college, but I never thought I would be a founder of anything because, as you know, I like to put my foot in too many things at once, as you're aware from college. So I was always at the fact that, okay, I'll join a couple of things that interest me and then I go that way. But then once I started this journey and found this pathway. So how it began after I gave my exams, I joined work. A lot of people reached out to me saying, "I really want to know how you did it," and started having this one-on-one conversations, guiding them, just being very black and white. And that's my motto. Like I'm very black and white, and I'm an open book. It's because I talk a lot. So it's I'm a very open and just being black and white. And I think that's what something was lacking in Australia. So started with just one-on-one teaching, and then it grew. And then my husband is a great supporter. Like he was the one like, well, I think it's not really a bad idea to have a path like in a side income. It's not a bad idea. But it does go against Australian way of life.
Oh, really?
Working Oh yes,
Would
we're very chilled. We're very laid back. Our after hours and our off work time is off work time. We have a lot of vineyards around, and we kind of want to make the most of it.
fair enough.
So yeah, and it's lost opportunity.
Yeah.
So it was definitely against the Australian way of living. Then I fell pregnant with my daughter while I was in the midst of kind of deciding what um, specialty training to go into because I was actually very surgical. I don't know if you remember. I mean, we were in the surgical
Yeah,
society.
yeah.
We were in the surgical society together, and I was actually did the extra rotation of neurosurgery, and I was in ped surgery for extra rotations, and did all that. And I was actually going to join ped surgery DNB in India. So I was very surgically oriented, and I came here, and it was a different story altogether for women in surgery.
Okay.
So, yeah, and it's also there are aspects of life that as a female doctor that we don't think about when we start our journey. We don't think about, okay, we have a husband, but what happens when that multiplies, the number of babies multiply in the family? And also what happens with responsibilities? We come from a family background or a cultural background where we don't really live in a nuclear family. Our aunts or cousins will be somewhere. Our grandma will be lurking around somewhere to help us. There'll be some sort of family member, this side of the family that will always be there to help. So it was very new to move to Australia and not have that complete help. I do have my in laws, but we're very like private in that sense, and they respect our boundaries. So it was an eye opener, like trying to balance work, personal life, and then having a baby to the mix, two babies, a puppy and a human child to the mix. So I thought, well, it's a great time for maternity leave. Let's start teaching. I love teaching. That's what I love the most. And I noticed that a lot of when competition goes up, information also gets translated the wrong way. So and also noticed that there are a lot of players that haven't actually done the exams that have a lot of advice on the exams, being personally approached for reviewing their content as well. I'm like, I'm going to decline this one. And I was like, and how can you make content when you haven't done the program or haven't done the exams? So, yeah, so I can't hear you.
Let's see. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, with the background, yeah.
Yeah, we're just gonna get rid of the mic that doesn't work. Can you hear me okay?
I can, yes.
All right, okay. Yeah, tell me a bit more about that. You said when the content goes up and you kind of were involved with creating content or helping with content for other people, um, was that kind of like the beginnings of when you started to see this gap? Like, obviously, you were helping these people one on one, but tell me more about your perspective there. Like, was that the shift when you said, actually, if other people are doing it, why don't I do it? Or was there something else happening?
Actually, before other people actually do it, Mike, I was established prior to that. All the new players, I was actually much more established before that. When I started, there was only two other big players that were actually teaching. Two, three other big players are actually, and they didn't have any content. So that was why a lot of people reached out to me. And then I was like, well, this is a lot tougher to do one on one. Why don't I just make content and put it out there on a free platform that should be available for everyone, to be
Yeah.
honest? And also just guide people as to where to find it, not to be reliant on someone or something so much was my idea behind it.
That's such a it's one of those things that almost every founder kind of gets to a point of where like, okay, there's this mission we're really passionate about solving, and we should just like put all the resources, all the information out there. um, and then it's kind of like, okay, if everything's out there, what's my value, what am I bringing to the table? And then it's
Hmm.
like, okay, beyond that, if I'm gonna start charging people because, to keep it sustainable, it needs to build, it needs to grow, there needs to be exchange of value, which is money. Um, how did you kind of perceive that shift? Or where did you see your true value if you were giving away all the information already?
The information I was giving away wasn't particularly like it was on the approach of the exam. It was approach of the Australian system. But at the end of the day, my value was where I knew what the exam was like and what it took to prepare for the exam and what is required for the to pass these exams and the feedbacks and what to expect in the exam. So my value was mainly because I've done the exam, I've gone through the process, and also I can tell you the perspective of a candidate that is studying for the exam and not the examiner. Like you'll be noticing that there are examiners that are running courses. They know the examiner's point of view as to what am I going to mark you on, but that's not going to really help me study and what am I supposed to expect to study. So that's where my value was. And I'm pretty. like I said, I'm pretty black and white. And if I don't like something and if you're doing something wrong, I will say it.
Yeah.
And for me, the monetary aspect of things, like, oh, am I going to, is that going to actually compromise a candidate? Is that going to actually make me lose business? Was not so much. But I'm happy to take that hit, was
Yeah.
where I'm happy to take that risk, is where
And you're
that
still
was my
working
bad.
clinically, so you still got a clinical income. And
Correct.
yeah, and this
And
was
it was
your
backed up by
barbecue dozen.
clinical. Correct. This was my additional income that I was not reliant on it. And additionally, for me, working clinically also meant that me being a registrar, I also get all the juniors that come after, right after the exams.
Right, okay.
So yes,
You know
and
exactly
ED,
what's happening, what the trends are.
correct. And that's where my value was,
Yeah.
because a consultant actually working with a resident medical officer, which is right the job that you get right after the AMC clinical, is not as much, especially like late shift, night shifts, as for a registrar. Even during the day, the registrar oversees most of it, right? So for as a registrar who when they finish their exam, the first shift they actually get in Australia is ED,
Oh, okay.
because there's more oversight than the departments upstairs during after hours.
Right, okay. Interesting.
So I know what it is that you need to do and what topics that I can actually kind of see why AMC, what topics AMC actually puts in their exam and why they do it,
Yeah,
because
because
that's
clinically
is
exactly
relevant.
what's needed. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So you've got to this point where people are already asking you for one-on-one help. You've got the insight and you're seeing these people come through and you've kind of established something early on. Um, and the KPI, I know the confidence is not an issue. Like if you see something, you're gonna go for it. Like you're gonna say it, you're gonna
Don't give me an exam. Just don't give me an exam.
no exams. Fair enough. What I'm actually curious about, KP, is what was the most challenging bit for you in that early stage as a founder?
The challenging bit for me was actually the competition that I have from organizations that really undervalue their materials. Um, and then it's all about price point, because, like you said, I need to put a value to my content, to what I have to offer.
Yeah.
And especially because if I want to attract serious candidates, and I want to attract candidates that are, good candidates, because then when I become their reference, I'm putting my name against them.
Yeah.
So I don't want to be undervalued, right? And my name is on the line. So
Yeah.
if that is I need serious candidates, but then what happens? And however, to a business to sustain, it is still a business, and a business to sustain and to, pay for the raw products and for a platform, you need money.
Yeah.
So to compete against people who have not done the exam and giving not great advice, and also for competing against candidates that have actually lowballing their price point would be the most was the most challenging and is the most challenging at the moment.
Yeah, that's so interesting. I mean, until people know about you, hear about you, or somebody else refers them and says, "Actually, go to KP. She knows the stuff." Um, People are like, "I just really got to save money because the whole journey is quite expensive." How do you kind of separate yourself from the rest of the crowd? Or did you try a couple of things? What ended up working the best for you in that situation?
For me, it was I had to consider that, and I had to consider my training, because at the end of the day, I still wanted to work clinical. As much as I love teaching, I also liked clinical, and that's where my value is. So, which is a harder point to get to. So I think the main thing for me, initially I did try, free services, YouTube, but I didn't attract the population or the candidates that I wanted to teach, that share the same passion of learning. So
Yeah.
I've literally now gone to a phase where I actually don't do much marketing. If you notice, I actually don't do that much of marketing,
Yeah.
and it's just word of mouth. So it's mainly word of mouth. And if you're very serious, and if you're looking for, because if I'm putting the time commitment in between my training, while before picking up my daughter from school, and
Yeah.
cooking, cleaning, and all of that, then I need a candidate that's as serious. So if word of mouth and you're serious, I'm
Yeah.
more than happy to. So that's pretty much how it runs is
Yeah.
with minimal marketing, and to, yeah, I've had a request to increase marketing so it gets out there, but just not in the face. I mean,
Yeah, I
I can
mean,
increase marketing, I don't need to
client
receive it.
acquisition is such a big thing, right? Like, how do you establish your brand? How do you differentiate yourself from other people? And loads of it points back to like, what are you putting out there? Like, what is speaking for you when you are not in the room? What is the content? What is your presence on social media like? And you're saying you're managing to run a good business without doing that just based on word of mouth? Like, how? How does that work?
Word of mouth, and just whatever platform is, like, not with money. Like, for example, like just a simple website
Yeah.
and an Instagram and LinkedIn and
Wow.
YouTube videos to post the Instagram videos up there. It's
Yeah.
just not much of, CEOs and like kind of get ads out there, not as, reach out subscription emails. I haven't done
Yeah.
any of that, to be honest.
Okay.
I will be looking into it, but the main key is that if I cannot provide, if you notice, I personally teach the MCQ and the clinical. There is a phase of me in both aspects, no matter what. Like, even though I don't do the core, all of the teaching, I personally handle all of them. I don't have anyone to handle it. And there's a reason I keep it that way. It's for quality assurance.
Right.
So if I market it the way the other companies do, me as a person will not be able to sustain it.
Okay, so you're not
And for
for the mass market, you're not the lowball cheap offer. You're only for a specific type of candidate that meets your criteria and your seriousness and your level of expertise.
I don't need a candidate that, like, that's going to be definitely passing on the first go. I'm not looking for that either. I'm looking for a candidate that's serious to study and passionate to get into the program and shares the same passion of learning. Then I'm for them, if that makes sense.
So how does that work? Could you walk us through like what is the experience on the customer side? Like how do they find you? What do you have like a one-on-one interview with them? Do they fill out a form? What are you looking for that helps you identify and helps them identify it's a good fit?
So first they reach out through Instagram or email, or through the website through an inquiry, and then I personally, no one else types my emails. I'm the only one that types the emails, so it takes a bit of time. I apologize. It does, and I have personal set questions that I ask them. I do have a set of questions that they need to answer so I know where they are. And before join, some of the candidates are from my MCQ, so I do know their background. The other ones who are joining, I actually have a one-on-one call with them to see, yeah, or I do have like an email trail to see what is your background like? What is it that I can help you with? Where do you
Right.
lack? And then I do all orientation sessions.
Okay.
So I meet all my candidates, all my 300 candidates for the MCQ. I know them.
Wow.
All my MC clinical candidates, I know them and I know where they are. I may not have the tidbits, but I do know them.
But
Know
you know
them.
them when they're facing their
Yeah,
names. Yeah.
I know them. And the main thing is that what I offer in my company is that if you're with me, you will be able to reach me, like as a founder, you will get in touch with me and I will answer your questions. So all the replies that you get from me are not from any other staff members. It's directly from me.
Yeah.
So that is a service I offer that is different from all the other services. And that's how I stand out.
Right.
And that's my business model and my model is that it's a personal level. It and it's not for everyone.
Yeah, yeah, I like that. I think the value of authenticity cannot be highlighted enough, especially as we're moving into like AI and all of this automated content. And what I really like in the way you're saying it is like you're not going out there and writing on your website or shouting about how I'm authentic and I'm doing this stuff. It's the actual experience that people have. So you're
Yeah.
actually showing them and it's just taking them through that journey rather than just telling them this is how I'm different. And that's really, really cool. Um,
I mean, the main reason I started this journey was because I had the passion to teach. And if
yeah,
I'm not doing that anymore, then what is the value of my business?
yeah,
Right? And
yeah.
how is it interesting to me? Because this is my main career is emergency medicine. So if this is my passion project. This is my
Yeah.
passion project.
Yeah.
It needs to be passionate. Like it needs to bring me, it needs to be interesting for me.
Exactly.
Yes.
I love that. And I think so many clinician founders now that I've interviewed have that in common. Like the decisions you make for a business that's trying to make money are so different from the decisions you make when you're doing it for a mission, you're trying to achieve or change something in the world. And that really differentiates. And why I love working with clinician founders as well is that big reason. Um, if you were to go back and do something differently or sooner or later, what would you change?
Ooh, ooh. Honestly, nothing.
Okay.
I've had no room. I mean, maybe have the baby after the first set of exams.
Okay.
Maybe doing the exam with the baby might not be
Oh,
the
wow.
smartest idea. I think if I could go back, the career path I chose and what I do, I would not change a thing. But when the timeline of that I would do certain things as a female doctor who's migrating to another country, that there are certain things I would do differently. Would be like, choose a specialty training that a little earlier. Maybe not. Yes, I was burnt out from giving the AMC exams, but not, and no one likes giving exams. So I sat procrastinating on that for my emergency exams. Um, I think so. Those kind of things, the small things, is what I would have done at a different timeline. Because for a female doctor, that makes a huge difference
Yeah,
because it
I
takes
think
extra.
it does, and like no matter how much people say, oh, actually you get maternity leave and you can go less than full time and all of those bits, like I'm 50% now, and the truth is that you get treated differently. There are these underlying assumptions of like, why are you 50%? Actually, one of my colleagues asked me, she's like, are you 50% by choice or by, yeah, she's like, by choice? And I'm like, what's the other way? Like, are you forced into being less? There are these assumptions of like,
Yeah.
how often your competency, what you do, and it isn't the same. Like my wife's a surgeon, and she does trauma and orthopedics, and like it's a very different world. Um, so you're right, you're absolutely right. As much as I'd like to say no, we're in 2025 now and like almost 26, but no, it is different.
And I have faced where they think I don't take emergency medicine seriously
Wow.
because I do it part time because I'm teaching. Well, that's not true. Why am I teaching? Because it kind of goes hand in hand. And I've actually been professionally, attacked. Um,
Really?
yes, and that too by another female, just being so weird.
Oh, jeez.
But you know what I mean? Like, but women have to be kinder to women. And that's the other thing my company stands for. If you notice, I have one male and the rest are women. It was not by choice. I did not selectively cast them. I promise. But I think it's just that environment that I like to create is that women can do it as well. It's just we just have to think differently, and we have to. That's the reality of it. We can't be like equality, everything. Well, no, it's not. Men don't have uteruses, and if you want a child, you have to go on the maternity. You have to do the pushing part, and where
Yeah.
science is not there yet. And that's just sometimes facing the facts is what we need to do.
Yeah.
Um, that is the main thing. So I think for me, like yeah, looking back, being a female doctor, I think my company's main guide is like also kind of focus on female doctors. Like think
Yeah.
ahead at a time.
Oh, that's
I
very
definitely,
cool.
yeah.
Yeah. Well, this is the Clinician Founder podcast, and I think, as with so many other clinician founders, whether male or female, there's so many common traits of like just getting out there, doing things differently, and experimenting. If there was a junior or somebody else who's new to Australia or like been there for a couple of years, very similar to you, kind of seems like they're on your path, but in a slightly different geography, and they're like, KP, I really want to do what you do. I want to do like part-time clinical work and part-time AMC tutoring, and like I'm getting requests as well. Um, what would you say to them? What would you say to them so that they could be successful?
What I would say to them is have have a goal. You must be absolutely make. What is the reason that you want to start the business? Is it for monetization, or is it because of passion? And if you are choosing like you want to do emergency medicine and you want to have a side business, you must also know what does emergency medicine mean to you. So having those goals and the priorities, because at one time, one has to give. That's just the path of life.
Yeah.
So, and also being okay that your journey is not going to be like another person's journey. Like, no matter how much you want to do what I do, your journey is not going to be the same as mine, and you must be okay with it. One of the main things I see, like all clinicians around the world, initially I used to think it's just India. What we do is when we migrate out, our journey is a lot slower, and you need to be okay with it.
Oh, that's an interesting
And
fact. Yeah.
when we go out, do not compare to yourself to someone that's back home. You're digging yourself. You have decided that this is the type of lifestyle that you have wanted, then stick with it. No matter what the hardship is, just write it down what your goals and priorities are. Don't lose sight of it. That's what my advice would be.
Yeah, that is beautiful advice, and I think can take someone a pretty long way. I think, especially, um, and it also targets the big challenge, which isn't really like, do I do Instagram or do I do TikTok? It's not about like, oh, how do I create my website? It's really the inner game. Like, it's the mindset. It's like, what are you seeing? Where are you heading? How are you making your decisions? Um, and that's such a tough but beautiful part of being a founder. Um, what's on the cards for 2026?
2026, we are looking to go a bit bigger. So we are looking at, I'm going to be more involved in teaching that since my exams are out of the way. So I am looking to jump back in and provide more one-on-one teaching and more one-on-one help guide. When I say one-on-one, I mean small groups. We only do small groups for clinical. And MCQs, we do have a batch of 30. It's usually how we run. Um, Next is to kind of expand advocacy for international doctors here. So 2026 is all about that. We have had a couple of pathways in Australia that don't support doctors that, be it after a certain while, international doctors are equivalent to, I mean, not equivalent, what I mean by is that they're the same stage of training and they're the same phase of life
Yeah.
of local doctors. But what the Australia is kind of moving into, what my views are absolutely like I don't support at all, is there are certain specialities that are hard to get in, like anesthesia, cardiology, neurosurgery, be any of those difficult ones. Notice that the candidates wait 2 3 years after their exams just to get a job, just
Oh,
to get
wow.
into the advanced training. And now recently they have started a program with the expedited pathway and the accelerated pathway where doctors are getting partially recognized and taking those jobs.
Oh,
So
okay.
us as trainees who have done the AMC exams, who've put in the hard yards in and gotten into the eligible, finished, completed the eligibility, sat the first set of exams, did the primaries, and then you go to the advanced training, you do your fellowship, and then you get out and you don't have jobs
This
because the
is
jobs are taken by someone that's coming through alternate pathways.
Yeah, this is so frustrating. I think this is a similar situation in the UK as well, and it's just so surprising and so horrible that doctors, after so many years and years of work, don't have jobs. I mean, there's neurosurgeons who put in like 10 years, do two PhDs and and a master's and don't have jobs. It just doesn't make sense. And um,
And I don't support, like recently there was a post about like a cardiologist, like how someone helped a cardiologist get a partial recognition. Cardiology is one of the toughest. We are looking at trainees that are actually losing a couple of years after they fail a BPT exam to get into the program, waiting that there's one slot open. Yes. And
yeah.
these are not just local grads. I'm talking about IMGs. I my first ever job like a registrar. I had the hardest working registrar. He was absolutely beautiful, top notch with his management. But he had to relocate his entire family. He had to, put in extra 2 3 years just to get into cardiology. But now we see, but so the question what I don't approve and I don't agree with is, why is Australia not supporting their own doctors
Yeah.
who have started from scratch?
Yeah.
Why is the country not, so that is what I'm focusing on for 2026. I definitely
Okay.
want to focus on that.
Yeah.
I know a lot of IMGs think that's anti-IMG, but it really isn't, because as an IMG that's put in the hard yards in, when I get out, I don't want to relocate my family and go somewhere rural when I've done the hard yards and you haven't.
Yeah, it's at a point it's just simply merit based. Like you've either put in the years and have the eligibility or you don't. I mean, it's a similar reason we're going on strike again for the second time in December. Like we just had a strike last month and we're again on strike because there just aren't enough doctor jobs. And I think it's not a surprise anymore why clinicians are looking to have some degree of independence from the system and be like, actually, we gotta have some value beyond just what these certificates and degrees are giving us because you're not giving us what you promised at the beginning of our careers, right? And like all of these people are upset with me for saying like make medicine your side hustle, but actually it's about finding who you are, taking back your impact and making a difference in ways beyond that are in your control. And I think we need that so desperately right now. So
Well, it's not just the government, right, that does it, that's doing it. It's not that just the health that's doing it. It's also the colleges. Like the colleges are not increasing training spots. If you're in deficit,
yeah,
increase training spots. If you're in deficits, don't make your some of the questions like in the exams are absolutely irrelevant to clinical practice. Make
yeah,
it more clinical practice oriented. The passing rates are obnoxiously low. When you have trained your own doctors, why are they obnoxiously low? Like they should not be obnoxiously low. You should be trusting your own system. So that is where like I've been furious about and I don't agree with. And I know a lot of people have conflicting thoughts about this, and I know it does go against a lot of people's businesses. I apologize, but those are my views.
well, I mean, whatever their perspective is or whatever side they're on, the truth is that there is misalignment, right? Whether you're on one side or the other, it just doesn't line up. And yeah, we got to do something about it. That is, yeah, absolutely necessary. Um, I think I've kind of asked you most of your questions. Um, and I wonder if there's any bit about you as a founder that we haven't discussed that you think we should talk about.
Me as a founder, I think the question about I think main thing about to women doctors out there who does like who are looking to do the same and who are wanting to branch out, or women doctors who are wanting to clinically practice, just believe in yourself, just don't compromise. And when you are finding, I know this sounds like an old auntie saying this, but I genuinely value this, is that please find that person that you are moving for or you're settling in a new career anywhere around the world, that they're supportive of your dreams just as much as you're supportive of their dreams. You're just because you're a female doctor, it doesn't make it any less, any less of a we put the hard yards in studying medicine. Medicine was not an easy subject to study.
No,
Okay. Yeah, it was not an easy subject to study.
not at all.
And yeah, and mainly as a founder, my main advice would be you're gonna go through ups and downs. You just have to be absolutely sure why you're doing this. And if you're not in it for 100%, don't do it because you're leading a lot of people astray.
That's
So
very very true. For some reason, as you were saying that, what I'm remembering is I have a framework for positioning, which is like this overlap between the thing you offer, like what's the problem you're solving, uh, overlapping with your credibility, like what's your experience, what are your degrees, what are your certificates, like why are you the right person to solve this problem, and then the third circle is what I call belief. Like what gives people the belief that you can do it? Because you could have the right certificates and degrees and postnomials to solve the problem, but people may not believe it. Um, and it sounds like the element you've really gotten right is that belief. And like I see it in your testimonials and the comments and everything that people say about you. Um, how did you, what is it that people see in you, do you think, that makes them believe that, yes, KP is the right person for me? And how much of that was like intentional? Like, I feel like I'm really bad at showing this to the outside world. Like, I hardly share what people say to me, and I should do that more often. But was that intentional from your side, or how did that happen for you?
yeah, absolutely. Main thing is I'm very straightforward. I'm very black and white. I'm very straightforward. And if I don't know something, I'm happy to admit that I don't know something. I'm not ChatGPT. I cannot be ChatGPT, but I can check, and I will guide you the right. If I'm not sure of what if of a particular answer, I'm happy to check it for you and give you the right links and whatnot to check it. But in terms for your question, yeah, it's the main belief or the how is basically the how I portray myself that how I portray myself in being just black and white. And it's also easier for me because it's less
Yeah.
cognitive overload.
Just be yourself.
Yeah, it's to weave a path of like, to complicate things. I've never been that way. Even in my relationship, like personal relationship, it's yes or no. There's some gray matters, but like, you like it or you don't like it. You want broccoli for dinner or you don't want broccoli for dinner. Like it's very straightforward. So I think that's my thing. And I do crack a lot of jokes, as you can see, and I do talk a lot. So I think that kind of
That's
covers
helpful.
all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's really really lovely. I think definitely showing up in the world as you are makes it so much easier. And I think people probably don't know this, but like to come up on a podcast that is being recorded and streamed live to talk about your business candidly, and like I don't send any questions across beforehand. And I think so many people have managed to find who they genuinely are, their authentic self is. I mean, listeners here might be like, oh, how do I put out a LinkedIn post? Like, what are people going to think about me? Well, they're going to think about you what people already think about you. Just be yourself and just like put it out there. And, this is where it gets you. It gets you to a brand that is you and people who believe in you and kind of like get to be on places like this where you constantly just get to be yourself. So, yeah, thanks so
Well,
much, KP, for sharing that.
no, you're absolutely welcome. And I think it's also very important what you said was you should only be starting something if you're absolutely passionate about it. It should not be a side gig for you to just, to fill in the gap or,
Yeah,
to just
make
fill
some
the
money.
void. Yeah, it should not be that. It should be what you're passionate about.
Yeah, yeah, precisely. Cool. I think this is a good time for us to do the usual swap where I'll give you the mic and ask any questions you'd like. I've never been nervous at this point, but KP, with you, please be kind.
Oh, me? I'm a person. You've known me for a long time. Well,
There we
let's
are.
see. Let's start with the
That's
very
across.
basic. What was your first perception of me when you first met me in Monaco? You said
What's
I could ask anything.
Yeah, you can absolutely. So when I first met you, I knew you. I think it was at Cutting Edge, when you were like this tiny ball of energy. Like, sorry, but talking about your stature, but like you were just like loads and loads of
I'm sure
energy, huge amounts of confidence. And I knew you played volleyball, and I was like, were you captain of the volleyball team? I think you
I
were.
was. I was
Yeah.
captain of the volleyball and the badminton team as well.
Yeah, and I was just like, this is very cool. Like, she knows what she's doing. Um, and it was interesting, like, working with you. There was never this time that, like, the stuff you said you wanted to, like, the confidence was always, like, well founded. Like, it wasn't just hoax. Like, there was substance behind it. And so I think that's been my first impression. And, like, you've kind of lived up to that impression ever since as well. That, like,
Oh, thank you. That means a lot. Thank you so
yeah,
much.
yeah, like,
Oh, now you're making me
lots
oh.
of hard work in the background. Yeah. You make it
That's
look
hard.
easy.
Oh, yes. Oh, I don't know. Do I? I do whinge a lot. I don't know if you've heard me whinge. I do whinge a lot.
Not as much as you think.
So tell me a bit about your journey. How has your journey been, and why did you choose emergency medicine?
Oh, interesting. Um, I'll do the second part first. So, emergency medicine for me came relatively early on. So, it was like the whole time I thought I'd do something surgical and like surgical society and skills and all of that. And actually, orthopedics was the thing that was standing out to me. Like, I'd
Oh,
really
I believe
enjoyed it.
that.
Yeah, and then at some point, I think it was during internship when it's like you start to work in different departments and you're like actually enjoying the subject is so different from working in the department. And working in the department's all about the people, the processes, the policies, um,
Politics.
politics, lots of politics, which is yeah, just people again. So I think it was at that point where going into emergency medicine suddenly felt like, oh, I found my people. Like, actually, we're all on the same page. We don't care about a lot of stuff, and we care about a lot of stuff that lined up. And so the decision for emergency medicine came around then. And in internship, I was actually studying German to go to Germany to do orthopedics because I was like, I'm not going to get orthopedic surgery anywhere else. And like, if I can just learn German, I'm going to get in. So I'd done like a good 6 months of like whatever levels, like A1, A2, B1, B2, whatever. That was like a big requirement you needed. So
Yeah, that's
uh,
curious.
yeah, then I just dumped it and I was like, actually, where do I go for emergency medicine? And I learned that India was like very nascent and UK
Mm.
had Royal College of EM, which is quite famous, also guidelines, and then our seniors started going to the UK as well. So I was like, I think there's something in here. That's how I ended up coming across. And
Oh, nice. Yeah.
yeah, and typical IMG way of like just get your exams done, just kind of like if there's tick box, tick it and just do it and just get across the line.
Get that letters under your name.
Yeah,
Just make
just
it long.
get those letters. Yeah, exactly. So did that and then sort of suddenly started looking halfway through the training program, looking at like, okay, in a couple of years I'll be a consultant. What does that life actually look like? Um, and at the same time, I knew that a lot of consultants were molding their consultant life to be theirs. Like they were doing dual CCTs, pre-hospital work, work with industry, and like other stuff alongside being just a consultant. And I started to
Mm.
explore that space, and I didn't. There were very limited options, and nothing really kind of resonated with me.
Right.
I had interest in like leadership, and I wanted to like lead change and innovation with the whole suture tutor and 3D printing and all of those things in the background. So I was like, how do I get to do this in the emergency department? Everyone seems to be worried about like this 4 hour target and flow, but no one's actually trying to solve the flow. And like, there's all these management meetings, and you know, how do I get there? So I think I was pretty burnt out and decided to like quit and go into management consulting. I was like, let's go solve some problems. So
I agree.
yeah,
I think it's time to solve some problems rather than just have meetings. I
yeah, exactly,
agree.
exactly. That's what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
But yeah, the thing in the back of my head was always like, I don't really want to fully leave. Like, I enjoy the job, and you know, I just want that balance. So I did a quality improvement fellowship, came across all the frameworks. Like, how do you lead change? How do you identify which actions to take? And in the background of that was coaching. So I came across executive coaching as like, how do you help leaders lead people to make the right change and implement change? And I was like,
Mm.
yes, this is the one that I've been looking for. Like, just make stuff happen, make it stick. So that's kind of how I ended up going down that route, and I didn't have to leave medicine to do it. So I was like, perfect, perfect. This is my space. So now, yeah,
It is, it is, it is. An IMG's journey is always going to be different, isn't it?
it is
It's
a self-selecting
and
group of people willing to put themselves out there and step away and do things differently.
yeah, it's such a big word. Like it's an umbrella word that just kind of
Yeah,
it's a word that simplifies a big cohort of doctors that come from multiple pathways, like including FMGs and IMGs,
yeah.
and even specialists who have done training ahead. No, that's fair. Where do you see yourself next year and the year after?
Oh, interesting. The surprising thing is a couple of people have asked me this, and most recently, and even now, it's probably just more of the same, please. Like the same sort of split in my week, like 2 days clinical, 2 days on the coaching business, one day for me, and 2 days on the weekend with family travel, all of that. But um, I'd love to maintain that, and I'd love to kind of scale up with the quality of work I'm doing, the kind of people I'm working with, the caliber of work. So, season three podcast guests are already lined up, some big people on there.
Is
Um,
your wife part of it?
Sorry,
Your wife part of it?
the wife part of it.
No, is your wife part of the podcast, or have
Oh, of the
you put her
podcast.
as a
No,
guest?
no, unfortunately not. She's too busy. She's a surgeon. She doesn't have time for this, and she's full time. So,
Oh
yeah,
man! Oh wow!
yeah.
Oh,
So I'm
yes.
here trying to hustle and enjoy life for the both of us.
I know you. It's like you're slacking off. Come on.
Yeah, she's operating, trying to
That's good
figure
on
stuff
her.
out, how to do the hips. Um,
Yeah. Hard.
but yeah, so more of that, and my coaching work is going into a group program, which is the actionship. So it's more together, more people, more intense, more resources, more toolkits, some AI supported stuff. Um, and that's kind of where it's going. Like I've kind of promised to do like a face-to-face meetup every quarter, which is kind of scaring me a little bit because I'm not very good at that. And
You're
but I
good.
think
You'll be fine.
I think so. I think so. It's just a matter of planning it out and just getting people there. And I think it would be lovely. By the way, if anyone's listening to this and wants to come to the meetup, I'm doing one in January to celebrate my birthday, and it's going to be open to everyone. So drop me a message if you want to join. And yeah, just trying to get people together face to face, clinician founders, innovators. Um, I think that would really give me a lot of joy to get people together, help them grow. Yeah, I think that's where I'm heading.
And I guess the other question I would always ask is, how do you how do you organize this? Like, where? I guess the question, like, if someone like is interested in podcasting, and I know a lot of youngsters are keen and to get their voice heard, what would your advice be in terms of what they should, the skills that they must possess or they should work on to be that, produce such good content and some good material and get their voice heard?
Yeah, my advice for most people is kind of the same to just get started. Just do it. No, there's nobody dying at the end of the day. It's not a patient. It's not a guideline you have to follow. Just do it. This started off very differently without a background, with a shittier camera and no mic, and my interviewing skills were, I wasn't as comfortable in front of the camera myself, but just getting started and constant iterations, the faster you can iterate, the more you learn along the way. I'm now at a point where the whole podcasting process is just 90 minutes in the whole week, and that's including the recording time. So like 60 minutes recording, 30 minutes I'm done with the edit, posted, got some clips for myself, and I'll send you some clips as well. LinkedIn articles, posts, everything. Um, Very much AI assisted, of course. I'm the only person in my own business, so I write all my emails as well. And I'm all about kind of reusing and creating flywheels and kind of like one thing that's kind of behind the scenes that I'd love to kind of share is just before this, what I've done is gone back all the way 36 episodes, taken all the transcripts, put them into Notebook LM, and gotten trends and narratives and strengths, weaknesses, what were the founder journeys, what are all the case studies of each of my guests, and I'm putting them into a book so that people can access all of that directly, and that book will soon be available for people, and I want to just give it away for free to a lot of people, especially the listeners of this podcast.
Send me a copy. I'd be keen.
Yeah, so I love doing stuff like that where if I'm already putting effort into creating something, then I want to get as much out of it and give as much out of it, because people we know consume in different ways. Some people might be watching this, others might be listening, others might be not interested in either, but if you give them a book, they're like, oh yes, of course, this is so cool, and infographics in so many different ways.
I think we should go back to Manipal and do a talk. Sounds like a plan, right?
That would be so much
I
fun. I
think
think Manipal should sponsor this podcast.
Manipal should sponsor the podcast. I think you, Azim, as well. See him doing
Yeah,
such great work. I think that we're all cutting edge, aren't we?
yeah,
I
exactly. I
think
was trying to get
we're
Vikas on
all
as well.
cutting, and obviously, the founder of Cutting Edge, because who needs to be
Yes,
also
of course. He needs to be on,
Vikas
So,
Kapoor, yeah. So I think, yeah, I think Manipal needs to sponsor us, and we just all need to come down for
yeah,
a catch-up
yeah.
reunion.
Just a nice little catch up, that'll be. Have you been back to Manipal since?
I did last year, and it
Oh, so
was
lucky.
so mesmerizing. It took me back. It's changed a bit, but it
Okay.
did take me back.
No
Yeah.
surprise. Yeah. We keep trying to go, and it's just like every time we go to India, there's so much family to meet, and it's just not really hard.
No, it was part of my business trip and part
Nice.
of my and one of her friends got married in Malpe.
Oh,
So
wow.
Malpe area. So yeah, so it was, and I think I have another wedding coming up end of this year. That's
Okay.
in Udupi. So I
Wow.
I am I am looking forward to going back and visiting all the places that we used to visit and
That
just
is so much
reliving.
fun. Yeah, we're
Yeah.
going to India Saturday actually. We're going for about 10 days. And we're going to Bangalore and Chennai, so I'm looking forward to the food and yeah, just some good family time.
Bangalore is really nice. I think I gained a couple of weight, a couple of kgs after that. Just came back from Bangalore. Yeah.
Always tough. Always tough. Amazing. Thank you so much. I think I don't see any questions in the comments yet. If there's any questions, do put them down. I'm going to do a quick bit of an outro and then we can do some questions as well. Um, I think that's going to bring us to the end of season two, in fact, of the Clinician Founder podcast. A huge thanks to KP Balan for closing the season with such clarity, honesty, and wisdom. And even bigger thank you for all those of you who've listened, shared, and supported this podcast over the whole year. As we wrap up for the holidays, I want to ask you for a small favor that would make a massive difference. Please share this podcast with just one person or just one WhatsApp group. It'll go a long way. We're already planning for season three in 2026 with conversations featuring clinicians building businesses, tech, education, consulting, platforms, and movements. If you've got a guest you really would like me to interview or a sponsor who you think should be part of this mission, then drop me a message or email me on shub@coachwithshub.com. Until then, thank you for being a part of this community of clinicians who choose to build, innovate, and create impact beyond the bedside. Once again, a massive thanks to Dr. Akash Vijayan for the intro music to this podcast. Check out his work on Spotify and SoundCloud. Until next time, keep building, stay bold, and remember, you have the power to create something extraordinary. See you soon.
Thank you. Bye.
Well, I still don't see any questions,
Okay.
but if people do have questions for you, what's the best place for them to reach you, KP?
The best place you can reach me is through Instagram, and also through my email, which is admin@drkpbalin.com.au. Would be the best place to reach me. And then last but not least, Facebook. But again, I don't make it to Facebook as often as I wish. So I would
No,
definitely say, yeah.
awesome. And
So,
Instagram is at KP Balan?
so Instagram is Krishna Priya Balnarayanan, or you can also reach me through LinkedIn. I am very reachable through LinkedIn as well, which is again Krishna Priya Balnarayanan. Like Shub said, I am a person with a long name
So am
the
I.
shortest person in the building usually. The longest name, that's how I identify myself. It's the longest name you'll ever find on the list, and I'm the shortest person you'll see.
What a brand. What a brand.
But
Perfect. Awesome.
thanks
Well,
for having me, Shub. This is a wonderful experience.
thank you so much. It was such a pleasure to have this